Hi folks, I'm Jamey Hiles. Derek? Lydia? That's right. They're not here. Due to an emergency, we did not get to record a new episode this week. So, instead of having you guys go a week without some Scream Bloody movie, which, let's face it, would be a travesty, we have decided to put together a little best of compilation clip show for you. So, it's not going to be as long as a usual episode. It's not going to have the nuanced film critiques that we are known for. But there's a lot of dick and fart jokes. So there's that. So we will be back next week with a brand new episode. And I will tell you what that episode is going to cover at the end of this one. So stay tuned. I will pop up sporadically to introduce the next clip. And we'll see how it goes. Listen, maybe Jason would hang out with you more if you quit calling him bitch. I mean, you do it all the time. Oh, hey guys, didn't know you were back. If there's one thing that makes a bad movie great, it is a nonsensical plot and a great catchphrase. This next clip has both, and it's one of our favorites. Take a look. Terry then goes inside and he discards his shirt that he's wearing, the bloody shirt, throws it in the trash can, and then that's when he gets into the best uniform that a killer could ever wear, a sleeveless shirt. What do you guys think of Terry's excellent sleeveless shirt?
Well, we need to back up just a little bit. Because this guy, for being a killing machine, is just like the most nonchalant, I'm not going to cover this up. These are my clothes. I'm just going to put them in the trash can, of which are discovered later. He's just so like laissez-faire about the murders
All
he
these
just
murders.
committed.
Yeah, he really is.
And then
he's a confident sociopath serial killer. Psycho.
Yes, he is.
Yeah,
Like,
yes, he is.
He is. He's very confident that he is getting away with all of it, and he is, because he literally runs into people he knows, and they're
and then
like,
just
oh,
kills
hey.
him. Yeah.
Yeah. They all trust him.
And this is where we get the first taste of this line, pun intended. Right?
No, that's
because he takes the shirt off and he goes.
Yes, it is. It's when he's taking his shirt off. He says, "That's not cranberry sauce."
Well, he tastes it.
Yep. Nope, that's not cranberry sauce.
It's not cranberry sauce.
Yep.
That line will live in infamy.
That's a great line.
It really is.
Special.
It really is. At this point, we see Todd kind of floating around, and he runs into Kelly. Right? He runs into her outside, and she thinks it's Terry. So she starts talking to Terry, and she says the funniest fucking line. She says, "I want you to make love to me."
Well, I want you to make love to me.
That's not how I remembered this.
Oh, you're speechless.
And she says more than that, but she just keeps talking and talking and talking.
Yeah.
I thought she was more vulgar than that, but yeah.
No, that's what she says exactly.
I want you to make love to me.
Was...
And then he's like, "But I've never kissed a girl."
Yeah, because she says, he's like, I'm Todd. And she's like, "Oh." And then he says,
I've never kissed a girl before.
She goes, "Good luck with that," and like runs
Yeah,
off.
I gotta go.
She said, you should try it sometime.
You really ought to try it sometime. I gotta go. Bye.
And runs
Like,
away.
"You should try it sometimes," and runs off. Oh, that's good stuff. Oh, hey. If there's one thing we love here at Scream Bloody Movies, it's a running joke. A runner acts as kind of a secret handshake between you guys and us. So we love to sprinkle runners throughout the episodes. So here's how a few of those runners got started.
Still has like a homeless man teeth.
Well, you can't fix that overnight.
Yeah.
like those weren't his real teeth. I don't think either. Like they could have just like straightened him up and had him have a nice teeth.
Yeah, but you just can't fix that. They're like, well, that way we know this is the same guy. So we get all of this. Like I guess that when they killed Dylan, it freed all of them from the curse. So they're no longer vampires. Is the thought process?
Oh, yeah. So we also missed the Children of the Night.
Yes. So
they made their only appearance here.
Once Dylan, well, second appearance because they pull him down.
That's true.
Then once Dylan is killed, they walk off, and she's like, "Look, it's the children." I have expected her to say, "Of the night."
They're free.
But the children are free, so their souls are free. And then the mailman walks by, and he waves at them, and they're like,
"Who?"
So Sarah thought that the mailman was the priest. But I rewound it multiple times, and I don't think so.
It's not. It's definitely not. It's like
Who
literally
is this
someone
mailman?
who isn't in the entire movie. Is it a vampire? Is it Dylan? Is it the vampire?
Let's
I don't know. I genuinely it's nobody. It's nobody.
I was like, there has to be an importance to this character, right? Because they make a point to frame him, and then have him wave at him, and then him to kind of react.
Nope,
like
the mailman.
It was like a beautiful moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, the mailman is Brad Overturf.
Okay.
So it's just a mailman.
Yeah, he doesn't have any other credits in the movie.
At some guy that makes no sense. He's not even a character, and they're just like having a triumphant moment over the mailman that is nobody.
It's only overshadowed by the completely ridiculous Hollywood like double take that Marty gives our two main characters, because he's like talking to people and he's like,
yeah, and then he's like,
yeah, like we did it, we did it.
Yeah, and then they're like
weird,
and then they're like, well, let's walk off or whatever. So they just walk off into the, and then the credits roll. And I
put a
get
clip
the ending
of that.
they're trying for.
Put a clip of that mailman scene.
Yep, clipping the mailman.
The mailman scene is right here. But yeah, like I get the ending they're going for. They're kind of like going for like a, like the Blob kind of has that a little bit. When they defeat the Blob and the town all comes together and it's like, oh, it's over, everything's good again, and then we get the weird tacked on ending that we don't like about the Blob. But this one, it just ends on that moment. But it felt like a TV movie ending, right? Or a Goosebumps episode ending.
It definitely did.
It's like, guess what? Only a couple people really died. There wasn't a lot. There was only three real deaths. Billy, well, maybe four. The one vampire, Billy, her mom, Cindy, and her mom. So it's like, but the town as a whole, the curse is lifted. Everybody's fine. And that is Children of the Night. So you guys, what do you think of Children of the Night? Let's start with you, Lydia. Tell me your thoughts and pumpkin rating for Children of the Night.
My thoughts. The acting is pretty bad. The special effects are pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
The plot is pretty bad.
Mm.
And the movie as a whole is not great. I'm going to give it a 1.
It's a long way around to get to it.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, I love it. I'm going to give it a 1.
One of the more powerful lights they have access to. And then, just how suspenseful it is that it gets right to the end and it makes her disappear, but we find out it doesn't actually kill her.
Yeah, because of it's like her, because their mask is kind of covering her, and I think that's part of it too. Like her body is hurt by it, and what's really cool is that I like the suspense of, they're like, well, we have it, everything's good to go, but there's a leak in that hose.
Yeah.
And they have to go down to fix it. And I love the image of him trying to like tie this rag around this hose just to get it to hold. Because if there wasn't this leak, they would have been fine to be there for a while. They could have lasted all night and then figured out what to do the next day. But since that doesn't happen, the cop unfortunately gets killed because he doesn't stay in the light. And then Kyle's nearly killed from it and gets messed up pretty good. Has to go up, and we have that great suspenseful scene where the light goes out in the whole thing. And Michael has just the glow stick, and there's a wonderful shot where they have it lit up with the glow stick, and you see her outside the window floating by. Such a cool shot. What do you guys think of the way that she's defeated?
I'm trying to think of how she was defeated.
So
I remember the
takes
light
her mask off.
and
yeah, so the light hits her. It makes her disappear.
yeah, but she comes back.
She comes back. He takes her mask off, and because they're fighting, and he grabs the mask and it breaks. So then he lights his arm on fire.
Yeah.
Because it's covered in gasoline, and he punches her with it and basically takes back his fear and hits her with it, and then she gets engulfed in flames, and she's donezo. What do you guys think of that climax?
It's gross.
Her face is good, right? Her face looks good.
Oh, her face is
her
great.
makeup.
Yeah. Stan Winston.
And I love the mask. I think the mask is really eerie.
Mm-hmm.
The gross part is when it falls down and it shatters and all those teeth come out of it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I like that. That's a good idea.
Yeah, a really good idea.
It was
this movie
a good
has
idea.
A lot of good ideas. Yeah. And then, her actually being burnt and everything is good, so we get a closure to their story. But as I was talking about this movie, the way it just moves, we cut immediately from there to just another kid. So we don't really find out what happens to them. It's no, we don't get usually we get an epilogue with those, with those characters we made it, we're fine, blah, blah, or let's move on to this. I mean, hell, even in Children of the Night, we get our heroes walking down and seeing the mailman.
True.
Anyway, we can just bring the mailman in.
I was thinking about it. So this one is weird because we cut to a completely different kid, and he's, his dad's tucking him in, and he has his tooth under there, and he gives him a kiss and tells him not to peek, leaves, and then we get a fake scare with the mom, which is actually a pretty solid jump scare. And then she's like, don't peek, does the whole thing. And so we get that jump scare. What do you guys think of this ending, this epilogue?
I don't know how to feel about it. I guess I thought it was good. I thought it was fine. I was like, well, this is how they ended it. Like that's just, I
Yeah.
just like
All right.
accepted it.
Yeah. All right.
I didn't think too much about it. I was like, yep, she's get this. We don't know what's happening, so I guess that's it.
It
Yeah,
kind of
so
what
does
did you
keep you
think?
guessing.
It does, because
Like,
it really
God, didn't
doesn't.
they?
It really doesn't answer it either way, does it?
No.
So you could technically make a sequel because we don't. The Tooth Fairy doesn't get a chance to get the tooth, right? Because the mom already does it, and then we cut before the Tooth Fairy can even visit. So we don't know if that really happened or not.
Yeah.
So, or if the death worked or not. I like to think that it did. I like to think that they defeated her.
Yeah.
Mainly because
I think that too.
since we didn't get a sequel, we might as well think that. You know what I mean? And they didn't.
Mhm.
They didn't sequel bait us. They didn't set up a sequel. So, yeah.
They were like, okay, we'll take the tooth. Like,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and that just reminded me that Jake was like, what was that? Like just a quarter?
Yeah,
And I was
dude,
like-
I thought the same thing. I was like, man, cheap ass parents.
I was like, I feel like I just got a quarter for my teeth. But Jake
We
was
got
like,
dollars
I got
in
he
the
was like-
Hiles household.
He was like, I got.
Maybe it was a silver dollar.
He said, I got $3.75 one time. What?
Exactly. $3.75 once.
I'm
We
like, I
used to
just
like-
got like a quarter or like a silver dollar. Yeah.
My mom used to. I think my mom used to give us $1, and my dad and mom would as well. Like we'd get $1, a couple dollars, depends, for the Tooth Fairy. But I never definitely got a quarter. I can tell you that. Well, I mean, back in the '90s, you could buy a Coke with a quarter. I mean, even in 2003,
man.
you couldn't. You couldn't go to a machine. Yeah, you couldn't go to a machine with a quarter, could you? In 2003, you'd have to have at least 50 cents.
Not with a quarter. You could do it.
Yeah.
Like, I think they were like 75 cents at that point.
Maybe you're right. Yeah, you're right.
So I
75
was, like,
cents.
right out of high school.
Yeah, you're right. Wow. Parents, maybe the Tooth Fairy should come and visit them.
Hey, what would you guys think of a sequel to this movie called Darkness Falls, Easter Sunday? You know what I'm saying?
Do tell.
Well, yeah, you'd have
I
a
love
play
it.
on the Easter Bunny as a killer.
Yeah.
bunny. Yeah,
Killer ghost bunny.
yeah.
Killer zombie bunny. Killer were
Or
bunny.
could have been like a guy who dressed up as the Easter Bunny in the 70s and they lynched him because they thought he hurt one of their kids, and it still plays on the same trope, just a different.
go.
Back in the 70s, there's this guy named Bunny Johnson. He used to dress up as a bunny for no reason, really.
His name was Peter Cottontail.
He liked to diddle kids. So he was axed, but he really didn't do anything wrong.
So,
And now he haunts people's Easter baskets.
So that's what happened.
no. That's a cop out. That's lazy writing.
So that
They're all lazy. They're all lazily written. I feel like not all of
except
them.
for Dracula and Frankenstein, and
Yes.
Bride of Frankenstein and Son of Frankenstein. Great. All of those are very well written, like nuanced pieces of horror, actually.
Yes.
Which we'll
yes,
get to
I
eventually.
agree.
And that was the Wolfman, guys. So what are your thoughts? Derek, let's start with you on this one.
So I hate black and white movies. Luckily, this one was in color. I watched, but
You watched the color
You watched
version
the
of
colored
this?
version of this?
yeah, pretty sure.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
Oh God!
Okay, for the listeners, don't watch the colored version.
Don't do what
Well, now
Derek
you're
did.
making
Derek
me
is a bad
question this.
example.
I was
You
I
saw
still
a
got
whole different movie than we did.
I had to rent it, so I'll go and check it. But I thought it was in color. I could totally be wrong. But anyway,
Did you imagine it being in color?
Remember if it was in color?
no,
Derek.
I was
What?
I was multitasking while watching the movie.
What were you? Were you multitasking,
Derek.
being goddamn colorblind?
Derek just doesn't watch the movies, I don't think.
He's like,
He
yeah.
just
So,
guesses.
luckily, this one's in color. Derek, no, it's not.
Man, now
Damn
I'm
it!
gonna.
I put on my. I was wearing my rose
black
glasses.
and white, I'm gonna be really.
You gotta
sad.
check that. You gotta check that and see if it was black and white.
Derek, what was your favorite scene of this movie?
Make sure we watch the same one.
My...
He's like, the part where Dracula walked down the stairs was really cool.
I mean, Dracula technically was in it, at least Bela Lugosi. My favorite scene in this movie, probably the interaction with his dad. I think it was, it had some of the best dialogue in the movie.
Yeah,
And I felt like it was delivered in a way that it was impactful. You definitely, like, I feel like they did a great job conveying that they had a relationship that was strained, and he's glad to see his son back.
I agree.
And mainly because I've never been a real fan of the way that acting was portrayed in this time period. And I had mentioned it earlier, where
Acting with a capital A.
Exactly, right? Where it's not necessarily an authentic conversation, or like the mannerisms wouldn't be. It was very for show.
Stagey.
And that's my own
Stagey.
bias. Yeah, that's my own bias creeping into this. So that was probably my favorite scene in the movie.
What do you think of the movie overall? What would you rate it?
I'm gonna rate it kind of high, only because of the foundation that it laid for the movies that came after it and the history behind it. So I'd probably give it a 7.5.
Oh, that's actually much higher than I thought you were going to get this.
Yeah, and it's because of the history of the movie and what it did for cinema.
Lydia, what are your thoughts on the Wolfman? First of all, Derek, now I know why you thought my shirt was gray.
You
Lydia, what are your thoughts on the Wolfman? And what would you rate it?
Okay, so I really like the Wolfman. This watch was different for me because I was looking at it knowing that we were about to talk about it on a podcast. So I was kind of a little bit more critical of everything. It definitely never picked up on some of the things that I picked up on this watch. So would I recommend this movie? This is kind of how I base my ratings, is if I would recommend them to people, like the order. I don't know. I kind of try to like categorize it, I guess. So this one, I feel like I would give it a 7. Mm-hmm. It's great to watch in October around Halloween, just spooky vibes. It's like what I crave in October. So it's perfect. Like, light candles, get the pumpkins out, everything. I mean, I have pumpkins everywhere, but it's really good for that, I think. So I think I'll give it a 7.
7, that's good. I'm like right on par with you. Also, it wasn't black and white.
It was?
It was?
It was, yeah.
Oh my god.
You just pictured it in color the whole time?
Well, no, so truth be told, I was working while watching it, so I was,
You didn't look at it.
I did look at it. I just, my mind just doesn't really associate with black and white film. I don't watch it. So like,
so your mind just colored in. So like you're like, I really like the color of his eyes.
He was making it like a book.
I didn't say that.
He was just listening.
One thing
That's
I will add,
amazing.
because of the time period and like where we are with film right now, I do think that this is a movie if you had a young kid, like my son's maybe a little too young, I don't think you really understand it, but I feel like you could watch this movie with your kids because it's not engrossed
Scary.
in
movies,
the gore and it's not as scary.
the
It's very
Universal
lighthearted and
movies,
tame.
the Universal movies are great gateway horror movies for kids. I feel
Mhm.
like, I started with those, and I watched Nightmare on Elm Street with my grandpa as well. So I got, both extremes and enjoyed both. But yeah, it's a great gateway to horror. And if they're too scared of it, then maybe horror is not their thing. If they want more of it, then that's what they're into. I enjoy The Wolfman. I will give it a 7 as well. I don't think it's the best of the Universal monster movies by far. I think I'll probably give higher rankings to when we eventually do Dracula and Frankenstein. But it's a fun movie. I'll give it 7 just because it's fun. I will say the best part about the movie is that it's so short. So it's not a chore to get through. It just breezes through. When I was watching it last night, I put it in around 8, a little bit after 8, around 8:15, 8:30. And then by the time it was over, it was not even 9:30 yet. And I was like, oh, I could watch a whole another movie, before bedtime. So, yeah, 7 for me. We're like Robert Downey Jr. from Tropic Thunder. We don't stop till the DVD commentary on this one.
That's hilarious that you would say that. I thought about that today in the shower for some reason.
It's a good one.
Like,
it's so funny.
I'm the dude playing another dude.
Yeah.
So this is just a little bit of news, but there is oh my God, I can't believe I'm saying this. There is a vinyl from Waxwork Records, a single for Lily and Herman singing I Got You, Babe.
Oh.
Boy.
Is it good? Have you heard it?
I don't know. I can't hear it. But I see the vinyl. You guys want to see the cover of the vinyl?
Sure.
Might as well.
I love that song. That's such a good song. Classic.
It is. Bam, 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 bam.
I keep trying to
There you
get
go,
Jake to
guys.
sing it with me. Oh. Oh. Oh.
I think that does sum it up pretty well. Whoa.
What is Herman doing?
I don't
His
know.
best- This is what Sonny looked like right before he hit the tree.
Oh my God.
Derek, you cannot say that. Gosh. You guys are terrible. Just terrible.
That is terrible. Look at Derek. He's dead over
what
there.
if Cher listens to this? What if Cher listens to our podcast?
Thank you, Cher, for listening to our podcast.
She doesn't. You don't have to thank her.
You don't know. She could be one of the 100+ that we've got. So
I'm sure.
this might be the episode where she cuts ties with us. But
I was really enjoying Scream Bloody movies till Derek brought up the death of my ex-husband via a tree.
Yeah. Yeah, and the 50 subscribers that are like mega Sonny and Cher fans.
Yeah. You're gonna half them. You're gonna half them with that joke. Sometimes truth is stranger than fiction, as evidenced by the stories Derek tells about his brother. Let's take a look at a couple.
as promised, I am going to tell the brown
Do
underwear story. All right.
Do it.
Lydia, are you ready for this?
I'm so ready.
All right. So my brother and my uncle were on a run. My uncle was a truck driver. And so they were on a run and they were getting really close to Peru. And my brother's like, hey, I need to go to the bathroom because he had diarrhea. And my uncle's like, man, just hold it. We're almost there. So like Jay is telling us this story. Okay. He's telling us this story and he shat himself. So if you're a normal person and you get home, like what's the very first thing you do?
you go change. I would take a shower.
Yeah.
Right? Now, my brother's telling us this story, and then like 5 minutes later, I'm like walking down the hall going to the bathroom, and I happen to look into his room, and he's climbing in bed to take a nap because he's tired. And I look over, man, and he's stripped down to his underwear, and he's got shit all over his underwear.
Gross.
And I'm like, Jay, aren't you gonna go take a shower? And he was like, I'll do it when I get up, man.
What the fuck? No.
Needless to say, I never ever got in his bed again. Like for any purpose.
Oh my gosh. That is nasty. Do you feel better now that you got that off your chest?
You know, it's very therapeutic. To throw that out in the world.
To put it on the internet.
We have so many other stories about your brother we've got to share throughout the years.
I know. I hope my uncle never watches the podcast, because if he puts it together, then
Oh, dude, that story we've got to definitely tell. You said you were going to tell a story. What story was that? I mean, you have to tell 2 stories probably, but what story was you going to tell?
oh my gosh. So like one of the early movies that Jamey and I were working on, we were going to build our own gimbal rig, right? And so my wife just happened to be with us at the time. So to do a backstory, one time Jamey and I were over at his apartment, and man, we were just like lighting the place up with farts. It was pretty bad. And his wife walks in, and she's talking to us, and I'm like, Sarah, does this smell weird in here? She was like, yeah, but I didn't want to say anything. It smells like ass, I'm pretty sure is what she said. And so cut to the we were in Lowe's, and we were getting a bunch of stuff to make this homemade gimbal, and I was talking to the cashier, and I guess I was saying weird stuff.
Yeah, right? Yeah, you were just saying some random shit, and then you said to me, you said to me, hey, Jamey, do you remember the time, because we were talking about doing something, and Derek said, hey, do you remember the time that we made your house smell like man? And there was like a pregnant pause with everyone. And I said, no, man, I don't remember that. That was weird, right? And the cashier's like, yeah, that was weird. Yeah. And his wife's like, yeah, that was weird. And Derek's just kind of like looking around. So he was trying to talk about this fart, this time that we made it smell like farts in the house. But he literally used the phrase, do you remember when we made it smell like man? Which I don't know how else you're supposed to take that.
No, I'm telling you, like, that's a very, if you were to say something like that to somebody, they'd be like, oh, you mean farting.
No, I don't think they would.
You know what? Let's do a poll. If a random person told you that they made their house smell like man, what would you assume? Put your comments down below.
Please do comment on this. Oh, Derek, I thought you were going to tell a different story, to be honest. I thought you were going to tell the story of when we were shooting Hookman. And then subsequently when we shot Secret Admirer as well. But when we were shooting Hookman...
Oh, when I farted in
front
of...
he just met our lead actress, and we're setting up the shots, and he just forgets that she's there. So he just lets a fart rip. And I look at him with my jaw dropped open, and she looks at him, and Derek's just like, sorry about that. I forgot you were there. Felt super embarrassed. So from that point forward, he would, every time he had to fart, he would leave the set. And so when we were shooting Secret Admirer, we had a green room where we had food and stuff. This office, actually. But we had food set up, craft services. Derek was going in here. Lydia was in there looking for a prop. So she was actually in the office.
Sorry,
and Derek
Lydia.
walks in, didn't know she was here, sticks his ass into the room and farts. And she turns around and sees Lydia, and he's like, "Oh my God, Lydia, I didn't know you were there."
Dude, my butt has got me in so much trouble. So this is the last fart story I'll tell, but it's a pretty classic one. Okay.
Oh my God.
Anybody who grew up in Peru had to go to like Video West at some point, and they had tags that they would put on nails right in front of their videos. And if they had a tag, they had the movie. And so my brother and I were in there, and I was standing next to this guy. I didn't know the guy. I was like 11. So I'm standing there like looking for a movie. This guy's standing next to me, and my brother's standing on the other side, and I fart. And the guy looks down at me and he goes, "My God." And my brother got so embarrassed. He shoved me as hard as he could, and I fell into this rack of videotapes. Fell down, and when I got up, like it looked like a tiger had grabbed my back and just scratched me down.
Oh my gosh.
Where the nails, like you'd hang the nails on, or the tags, and so yeah, that's a fun time.
Oh man, this
That's
episode's
insane.
unairable now.
Yeah, we're gonna have to cut all this out.
All right, one more. It's funny.
Oh, you have one more story?
I didn't fart. But I
Okay,
have
this is
one
not
more
a fart story. Okay, one more story.
This is about Jay in a video store. So I had this huge crush on this girl in like elementary school. And anyway, so like I was in the video store. It was Video Stop on the West Side. And so she came in. And so I'm standing there, and I put my hand on the rack of videotapes, and I cross my leg, and I'm just like, like looking at her. My brother walks up behind me and kicks my foot from underneath me. I brought that entire rack of videotapes down. She turns and looks and sees who it is, which is me. She knew that I had a crush on her, and she like runs out of the store. I was like, "Oh my God, you a-hole."
That is messed
pretty
up.
classic. That's pretty
It is
classic.
pretty messed up, man.
But I mean, that's all right. You got your revenge years later when you told the internet that he shit himself. So congratulations.
It took me years, but I finally got my revenge. Not only did he shit himself, he went to bed before he took a bath. Which did he underwear.
So gross. Oh my
Oh
gosh.
my God. So my brother
Fairy dragon.
my brother drives my mom's teal car to my uncle's house, right? And so he knocks on the door and they'll answer, and he's like, "Hey, I bet that," because my uncle like had this sizable plot of land, and they used to like do stuff in the like kind of the backwoods. So he's like, "I'm gonna drive my mom's car through my uncle's yard to the back because I don't want to walk. It rained." That's hint number one. So he starts to drive through my uncle's yard, and he gets the car stuck. And he spends hours trying to get this car out, and he can't do it. So he was like, "Hey, I'll go back to my uncle's house. There's a truck my uncle's working on for his buddy. I'll get it, and I'll pull my mom's car out." So he goes back to the house. He gets that truck. He pulls it in there. He gets it stuck too. And so then he's like, "Oh my gosh, what am I gonna do? I'm gonna go get my uncle's car, and I'm gonna go get help." So he goes and gets my uncle's car. He starts to drive it back home. My uncle's car gets like a mile down the road, and it breaks down.
Oh my
And
gosh.
my brother's like, I got out of the car, and I'm like, what am I gonna do? And I don't want, my uncle to find out like I did this. So he does what any sane person would do, and he chucks my uncle's keys into the cornfield. Because that's what you're supposed to do. He walks back to my uncle's house. He spends like the next several hours getting my mom's car out of this mud that he got it stuck in, right? And he drives it, and he calls me on his way home, and he was like, "Derek, I need your help so bad. He was like, can you meet me at this gas station? And I'm like, yeah, I'll meet you at the gas station. I was on my way to work. And I pull up, man, and this car, which was teal, is shit brown. Every inch of it is covered in mud, inside and out.
Gosh.
And I don't have any words. I hand my brother, I used to work as a pizza delivery guy, so like I had a ton of change. I handed my brother this sack of change, and I was like, that's all I can do, man. That's all I can help you with. So he tries to get it clean, and he takes it home to my mom, and it's still a wreck. And my mom sits in this car, and she cries because it's so disgusting. My mom has had like really bad luck with vehicles and her kids, and I ramped one over a set of railroad tracks once, so I cannot really say that I had nothing to do with that. But anyway, so then I got this story from my brother, right? He tells me this, and then my uncle, he tells me that he's like, man, you won't believe what happened to me the other day. And I was like, oh, what? He was like, I was driving home. My girlfriend was taking me home. And he was like, I passed this car. It was broke down in the middle of the road, and I told her to stop. He's like, I think that's my car. So he's like, I go back, and there's my car in the middle of the road, like a mile from my house. I can't find the keys anywhere. And he's like, then she takes me back to my house, man, and my entire yard is like chewed up, and my buddy's truck is stuck in it. No. He's like, and I have no idea what happened.
Oh my gosh.
My brother had already told me this story, and I don't want to get in the middle of this, and I'm like, oh, that sounds pretty crazy. I don't know what happened.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh, man.
What a crazy concept.
I know, man. I told my brother, I was like, dude, if I ever make movies, I'm gonna put this in a movie sometime.
Now it's on the internet. Don't steal. We own rights to it.
It's so ridiculous, man. And it's a true story. It is a true story.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy stuff.
So if your uncle finds out, he's going to be like, what? Wait, what?
There's a high probability he won't even remember.
That's something that you don't forget.
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe he will remember, but in the moment, I just remember thinking, man, how ridiculous is this story from both perspectives? Like who shows up at their house with their car that broke down a mile away from it, and your entire yard is like destroyed where somebody like drove around in it? Like how does that happen? Like that never happens to anybody except for Mike.
Like that you got to hear both sides of it. Like
I know, man. It was
as a spectator.
Yeah,
it was
amazing.
Really hard not to be like, yeah, that's some crazy stuff that my brother did. Don't you think?
I would have been able to. I would have just been laughing. I couldn't have even got through it. I'd been like, what?
Especially with the keys, like the way my brother was just like, yeah, man, I just didn't know what to do with them, and I didn't want to have them on me, so I just threw them in the cornfield. I'm like, why would you do that?
Why wouldn't you just leave them in the car?
Yeah, like under the seat. Like then you could be like, oh yeah, you still have to
like
explain
they
how
would
the car got
fingerprint them
there,
or something.
Yeah, but no, he was just like, yeah, I chucked them out in the middle of the
steering
cornfield.
Wheel.
Like you,
or the handle.
stupid person. What are you talking about?
Too brilliant.
That's awesome.
All right, that was my story for the
dragon
week.
Story for the week.
So my same uncle, he dated this lady, and she had 3 girls, right? And one was like right around our age. The other ones were kind of older, but the one who was right around our age, we had kind of like a sleepover, right? So there was me. I was in 5th grade. So what is that, like 12, 13 maybe?
12. Well, yeah, probably.
All right, so let's just say I was 12. My brother's 2 years older than me, so he was probably 14, and she was like, I think the same age, maybe 1 above me, so maybe in the middle. So she's like 13, and she's pretty cute. So my brother used to be like 400 pounds, and he idolized Chuck Norris. for whatever reason. So like one night she decides to, stay over because we all lived in Kentucky at the time. And so my grandparents had this big house. And so my uncle lived there and his girlfriend. And then she was staying over, I guess. And anyway, so we're all there. My brother's like, hey, I've got this great idea. Let's tie socks around our heads and try to navigate through the living room and not touch anything. I'm like, okay. So like we all do it and it's her turn. And he's like, I'm going to show off. He's wearing dress socks. I'll preface this. So he's wearing dress socks. And as she's maneuvering through there, he decides he's going to do like a roundhouse kick over her head.
Oh my gosh.
And man, his foot slips out from underneath him, and he hit the ground so hard it shook the entire house. And she like ripped the sock off of her head, and she's like, "What happened?" And my brother's laying on the ground, and he rolls up, and he's like, he's injured. He hurt his shoulder, and I'll never forget the sound he made. It's so funny. He like raises his arm up, and he goes, "Hey!" She was less than impressed with my brother's ninja
You don't
skills.
say. You don't say. Oh, that's a good one. Good story.
Yeah, I haven't thought about that one in a long time.
That's a good one. You can't have an episode of Scream Bloody Movies without an appearance from our all-time hero, Tom Atkins. As you know, at the end of each movie, we Atkinize the film. Basically create an alternate version of the movie that would star the great Tom Atkins. And since we're not reviewing a movie this week, I thought we would Atkinize the host. So let's do it.
That's why God made fathers, babe. That's why God made fathers.
Hi, I'm Dr. Dan Chalice.
I'm Detective Cameron.
And I'm Stan.
And this is Scream Bloody Movies, the podcast where you get all your favorite Tom Atkins talking about Tom Atkins movies. How you guys doing, Toms?
Doing good, Tom.
I'm doing great, Tom.
Great, Tom. It's great to know. I've been spending my day, sucking boobies and drinking beer.
Sounds like a great day to me.
It's the best day. Also, I've been stopping children from getting their faces melted off by Halloween masks. So I think it's a pretty good day.
Thrill me.
Needs more Atkins. And that'll wrap up tonight's episode. Thanks for joining me on this trip down memory lane. I know this isn't our normal show, but it's the best we could do under the circumstances, and we didn't want to have a whole week without a new episode for you guys, so I hope you enjoy it. Let me know what you think with the comments down below. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe if you're new to the channel. You can follow us on social media. Follow us on Facebook at HiLa Productions. You can follow us on Instagram at Scream Bloody Movies. You can follow us on Twitter. You can follow me at Racket. You can follow Derek at DDoglyMaster. You can follow Lydia at Lydia is Spooky. Tune in next week when we'll have our normal episode. We will be doing James Wan's Insidious. So James Wan, Lee Winnell joint. It's a good one. So be sure to tune in next week for that. And in the spirit of nostalgia, since we're going down memory lane, I figured the best way to end the episode would be to have past Jamey, past Derek, and past Lydia say goodnight to us. So here they are. Guys, anything else to add?
Nope.
I can't think of a single thing when you ask me that.
Me neither. So for Lydia Judy and Derek Lemaster, I'm Jamey Hiles, and remember, if you're going to scream bloody movies. God, that is the worst. Scream bloody movies. Bye, folks.